This is a great day for Oklahoma State University right here. Let me welcome you, as I so often have the privilege of doing, to historic Gallagher Iba Arena, the rowdiest arena in the country. This is a great day for the Cowboy basketball program, and thank you all for being a part of it. Thank you for loving Oklahoma State and wearing that orange so proudly. We've got a great program here for you, and just a historic day in this historic arena. You know, we look around and you see 51 national championship banners hanging in this arena. And I think sometimes we take it for granted. 51 national championships. That is just remarkable. Well, once again, this is a banner day for Oklahoma State and the Cowboys, and we're glad you're here. You know, such a rich history because two of those banners are the first back-to-back championships ever in college basketball. Aren't we proud of that at Oklahoma State? We've got some dignitaries that I want to introduce, and this is truly an honor. This whole thing is an honor for me. But, you know, we this month we celebrate the 50th anniversary of another national championship at another university, but it was so significant. And, of course, I'm talking about the 50th anniversary of Texas Western winning the national championship. And, you know, there's an OSU tie there. I think most of you know that, but Don Haskins was a Cowboy, played for Mr. Iba, was a great Cowboy, went down there, was the head coach. We are so privileged and honored to have his assistant at Texas Western who recruited all of those guys. And there's a great story. I know you younger people probably saw Glory Road. If not, you need to check it out. But how about having Mr. Iba's son, Mo Iba, back in the house? And to his right, we have two of Mr. Iba's nephews, Skip and Gene Iba. Of course, Skip played here, and Gene was a coach under Mr. Iba. Gentlemen, thank you, and welcome home. I want to pass along to you that I've had conversations with the Sutton family. Of course, we're on Eddie Sutton Court, and Coach Sutton was unable to travel today to be here, but sends his regards. And we've talked to Scott Sutton and also Sean Sutton. They are both recruiting for Oral Roberts. Sean is actually in L.A., but I don't know if it's on the board, but it has been periodically today. Sean put out a great quote talking about how he is 100% behind our new head coach and believes we've got the right fit. So I think that is outstanding to hear that from a former Cowboy and a former head coach here, Sean Sutton. And another Cowboy got so excited that he tweeted, and he never tweets. Isn't it funny, the world we live in? We're talking about Twitter here, but Big Country was so fired up, he tweeted. He tweets like once every 6 months, so he's really a good follow because you don't hear from him much. He doesn't fill up your timeline, but he tweeted his support. He wanted to be here, but are you all sitting down? He and April are expecting a baby. Big Country and April are going to have a new cowgirl in the family. How about that? So they are actually... They are actually at an ultrasound today, and Big C tried to get out of the ultrasound, but he failed. So we're glad that Big Country's in our camp, and this is really about getting the OSU family back together, and that's very important to all of us. So do want to welcome all of our Board of Regents. They give us great leadership. If all of our regents would stand up and be recognized, I'd very much appreciate that. Thank you all for being here, and thanks for your leadership. President Hargis had a prior commitment that he could not get out of, but he wants me to let you know that he is fully supportive of the hiring of Coach Underwood and would like to welcome he and his family into the OSU family. So welcome to all of you. Don't we all feel that way? Now to officially get us started, I want to introduce a man who has given us tremendous leadership. He is the chair of our Board of Regents. Please give a warm Gallagher Iba welcome to Mr. Joe Hall.
Thank you all. It's hard to follow Larry Reese, but on behalf of my fellow OSU and A&M regents, I'm impressed to welcome the newest member of our Oklahoma State University Cowboy athletic family, Mr. Brad Underwood. You, like I, probably watched Brad and his Stephen F. Austin team play during this year's NCAA tournament. We all saw a team committed to each other, harmony, teamwork, effort, hard work, committed to their coach, committed to each other, tremendous determination and character. It's a great experience to watch. They played hard. They always played smart. We met with Brad on Monday. We were all extremely impressed. We left our meeting knowing we'd hired the right person to lead our men's basketball program back to the top, and that's where we all want to be. I want to take just a moment to express appreciation and admiration for our Vice President of Athletics, Mr. Mike Holder. Through this process, truly witnessed how he's won multiple national championships. Not a more loyal, thoughtful, hardworking, committed Cowboy in our entire nation. Mike's done a great job, and we appreciate his years of service. We appreciate and recognize his respect for OSU, and thank you. During this search, it was a priority to have a fit, and it was an honor to be a part of the selection of someone who both recognized and respected the OSU legacy of the greats, Henry Iba and Eddie Sutton. On behalf of the Board of Regents, we welcome Brad, Susan, your family. We're thrilled you're here. We can't wait for the Underwood era to be launched this fall. Go Pokes.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm Gallagher Iba welcome home to all these former Cowboys that are seated behind us. We've got a number of them here today. Thank you, gentlemen. And I think we ought to also thank the current Cowboys for being here, because I think we've got good things on the horizon. Right there's the nucleus for a great team next year. We're going to have a lot of fun watching them come together under our new head coach. You know, I think we're fortunate to have one of our own leading our athletic department, just like we're fortunate to have one of our own leading our university and President Hargis. We've done pretty good with that, and I think we've got someone leading our athletic program. I can tell you this, I don't believe there's anybody who loves Oklahoma State any more than our athletic director, Mike Holder.
Thank you. I appreciate all the kind words from everyone about everybody here. You know, it's a big day, and you know, I haven't really thought about what I'm going to say today. I hope some of it's profound, even if it doesn't come across that way. It's coming from the heart. You know, there's 51 banners here. I've been a part of probably, 8 of those. I had a coach that's responsible for one of those, Labron Harris. I'll talk about him in a minute. But there's a lot of history here, a lot of tradition here, a lot of meaningful things have happened here. The 2 most unbelievable sporting events I've ever witnessed in my lifetime happened here. They were a different sport. I'm not demeaning basketball at all. We're here for basketball, but those were 2 wrestling matches that I remember the lights being busted because of the sound. So this is a great place. It's a special place. And a lot of people here that are important. It's so wonderful to have the Iba family represented. You know, I feel Mr. Iba's presence here today, and I apologize to him because he would never put up with all this trash and dress shoes out on his floor, would he? I promise you, when I was a student here, no one came near this basketball court. That's how everyone felt about Mr. Iba. He's still respected and revered. For those of you that didn't meet him, there's never been a finer man, a better coach, a better leader, a person that changed more lives than Mr. Iba. And everyone that had an opportunity to play for him or be around him was privileged. He set a high standard. I also appreciate the mention of the Sutton family. I met with them, it's been 4 or 5 weeks ago, and they promised me, Sean and Eddie, Steve was there, that they would be here, and I promise you they would have been. It's just unfortunate that Coach Sutton's under the weather today, and we wish him well. And Sean's out there on the road recruiting. Recruiting's 365 days a year if you're a coach. They never take a day off. I understand that, and Scott's doing the same thing, but I feel that they're here with us. That's all significant because I think today we're going to bridge those 2 generations of wonderful historic basketball in this arena and get everybody back together. It's hard enough to win in any sport. It's very difficult to win in basketball, especially in the Big 12 Conference. And if you don't have everybody on the same page, pulling together, headed in the same direction, it's impossible. So today, I think, is a welcome to our new coach, but also a statement about we're all going to get in this together. We're going to fill this arena back up, and we're going to make this a special place again. I want to come in here and feel joy and happiness, and I want to see some winning basketball. I expect to see that. The most important group here today, in my mind, is seated over here behind me. And I'm going to turn around a little bit because these current players, this is what it's all about. None of us at this university have a job if there aren't students. There's not a single coach here or administrator in the athletic department that has a job without an athlete. And I'll say this, everyone in here that had the privilege of playing athletics at any level, male, female, doesn't matter, and those of you that were gifted enough to play at the university level, whatever the sport, I hope that you feel the same way about your experience that I do. If today I would trade places with these young men or anybody on the golf team, I'd love to go back and redo my 4 years under Coach Harris. You know, other than meeting my wife and having 2 parents like I did, Coach Harris was a difference maker for me in my life, and I'd love to go back there and play 4 years for him. And I want to tell you a little bit about him because I think I'm about to introduce a man that stands for the same stuff. When I came here, I wasn't a very good player. I was a walk-on. I had a chance to go to OU for a pretty good scholarship. I chose to come here because I liked what I heard from Laban Harris. And I saw some trophies over there in the clubhouse that I didn't see any in Norman. And I darn sure didn't see a national championship trophy anyplace else. So I came here because of him and what I felt like he could do for me, and he never shortchanged me one day. I found out real fast that he was the first guy to the golf course every day. He taught 2 classes in the College of Business, and when those were over, he headed to the golf course. He was everything out there, the head pro. He could have been the green superintendent. He ran the whole show. He built the golf course with his own hands. And you're going to hear a term from Coach Underwood, which is an everyday guy. Well, looking back, Laban Harris was an everyday guy. And my goal quickly became, because I was competitive, I'm going to get to the golf course before him. I'm going to hit more practice balls than him. And I'm going to leave the golf course after him. And I don't think I made it very many times. And every day that I didn't go there, I felt guilty because I knew he was there. And if you thought you were pretty good you were invited to the first tee every day, and you could put your 25 cents up, and if you could beat him, he would give you a golf ball. He always kept your 25 cents no matter what, though. I guess he was an entrepreneur at heart because he got the golf balls for free. And I cannot tell you how many times he beat me. It might have been my senior year before I ever got one golf ball off him. But what he did for me, just by the example he set, and there's a lot of people that can talk a good game, but when it comes down to the grind, the everyday show up, put in your work, do what you're supposed to, not very many people measure up. That's why winning at the highest level and being great, that sounds good, but when everybody finds out just how hard it is and how much pain there is and how much suffering's involved, you quickly get rid of the shaft and get down to the wheat. So he set that example for me, not by what he said, but by what he did. And he took a kid that wasn't very good and turned me into a pretty good player. And he still lives in my heart today. And that's what I want for every athlete at this university. All these coaches that were kind enough to come out here today, thank you. I really appreciate the sacrifices they make, but they're all blessed because they get to relive their careers, their lives, their hopes, their dreams, their aspirations every single day, and the lives of the young men that they lead. So you guys need to cherish, behind me, you guys need to cherish the opportunity you got, make the most of it. As a lead-in, I think I've pretty much summed up what I think. I don't know yet. I've only known Brad Underwood for a couple of days. I know a lot about him because I spent a lot of time learning about him through either study or listening to other people. And I'll say this, I didn't disrespect our current coach when I did that. Listen, you've got to prepare for the day that you hope never comes if you're an athletic director. And so I was just getting myself ready. And I felt like I knew Brad Underwood before he got here, and I think I know exactly what we've got here. I think you've got a man that stands for the right stuff. He's going to love these kids. The things that they'll learn off the court will far transcend anything that happens on this court. But I think what you see on this court will be a living, breathing representation of what's happened behind the scenes. And I want to read a quote. And I love this quote, and I love Muhammad Ali. And this quote is in our weight room downstairs in the basement of Gallagher Iba. And I see it every morning. I don't go in there every morning now, but when I do go in there and work out. But I want to read this to you. He said, "Before I get in the ring, I have already won or lost. The real part is won or lost somewhere far away from the witness, behind the line, in the gym, out there on the road, long before I dance under the lights." And for these youngsters behind me that never had the privilege to see Muhammad Ali, you need to go back and look at some of those videos and see what he means when he talks about dancing under the lights. So I think what we're going to see on this court is some dancing under the lights, and that'll give you an appreciation for what happened out on the road, out of the lights, out of the limelight, with nobody out there, all alone by yourself. And everyday guy, that means a lot to me. And you didn't come here to hear me today. I understand that. I hope I haven't said too much. I hope it didn't overstay my welcome. Boone Pinkins is always telling me that you shouldn't do that. He also tells me there's two kinds of people in the world, givers and takers, and we got us a giver as a head basketball coach. Thank you.
So pardon me, I'm going to read some things that I think are important. With his most recent NCAA tournament run with Stephen F. Austin, Underwood improved his career record to 89-14, tied with Brad Stevens, who is at Butler now with the Boston Celtics, for the most wins by a head coach in his first 3 seasons at an NCAA school. How about that? Is that not remarkable? Underwood's teams have been known for their defensive prowess. Listen to this. You're going to like it. His teams play hard-nosed, man-to-man defense. You like hearing that, Cowboy faithful? Underwood is a 1986 graduate of Kansas State. I feel a kinship with Kansas State. I think they're our kind of people, and we're their kind of people. I hope you feel that way, too. He played for former Oklahoma A&M football and basketball standout Jack Hartman. Hartman learned, of course, his hoops craft under legendary Cowboy head coach Mr. Henry Iba. Underwood was a member of Hartman's final teams at Kansas State and helped Hartman become the winningest coach in Wildcat history. I love the fact that there's a Cowboy that's the winningest coach at Kansas State, don't you? Today, we welcome the Underwood family into our OSU family. It is truly my honor to introduce for the first time in Gallagher Iba Arena, one of our kind, the new head coach of the Cowboys, Brad Underwood.
Thank you very much. I love the shirts. Couple of thank yous, and I can't reiterate how much it means to me to have the Ibas here, and how much they mean to me as a coach who has got to play for Coach Hartman, and to meet Coach Iba when he'd come to town and watch our practices, and that means a great deal. To be out here today on Eddie Sutton Court, one of the winningest coaches in the history of what our sport is about, and to be standing here today means a great deal. Thank you to Mike Holder, President Hargis, Joe Hall, the Board of Regents. This day means a great deal to me. It's actually a dream come true. I do want to say a few hellos. My mother from McPherson, Kansas, Jan Underwood, is here. My brother, TJ. My aunt Shirley Smith from Hayes, Kansas, is here. A gentleman and his wife that our family spent 10 great years with. Former Stillwater High School coach Jim and Gail Kerwin, please stand up. You mean a great deal to us. Thank you. And then I would be very remiss if I did not bring up the people at Stephen F. Austin, and Dr. Baker Patillo, Athletic Director Robert Hill, and all those players there. And to them I say thank you. You guys will find out with me that I get emotional at times, and that works both ways, so I apologize for some of that. Our season ended on Sunday night, and in a really heartbreaking way for me, and there's nothing like losing at the buzzer. But when this process happened, and it happened obviously very quickly, my dreams came true. I could not think of a better place to be if I was not preparing my team for a Sweet 16 game tonight than to be standing here in the greatest arena in America, in Gallagher Iba, with the Iba name on it, on Eddie Sutton Court. And absolutely. I'm going to go back to about this time in 1984. I took a visit to this university, and Coach, you guys may know, actually I think he's getting ready to play sometime here in the next couple days. Bill Self was my host on that campus visit, and I've always told Bill that he wasn't that good a recruiter, or he would have convinced me to come. We've obviously seen that he's proven differently. But I went up the road to Kansas State, and it didn't have anything to do with the visit here. At that time, Paul Hansen was the coach and was going to retire in a year, and I just didn't feel at that time that was the right thing for me. But the opportunity to go play for Jack Hartman and to learn what winning is about, to learn what being a good person is about, and to do things the right way, and to have Coach Iba come in for that week every year and watch practice. Those are things that last a lifetime because they were real relationships, and Coach Iba stood for everything, and his tree is so wide, but it was about discipline. It was everything that was about winning and success, and Coach Hartman taught us a lot of those things and all of those things, and I've never forgot that. And then as a younger coach, and watching Coach Sutton's teams and how hard they guarded and how disciplined they were, and the tenacity with which they play, and coming in here and watching their practices, and that was a treat unto itself. That was always better than the game, was watching his teams practice. But I'm going to fast forward a few years, and it's 2006, and I'm with Bob Huggins at Kansas State, and coach on our staff was Frank Martin. And I can remember telling Frank Martin, I said, wait till you go to Gallagher Iba. You've never seen anything like it. I said, the fans, I said, it's the loudest place I've ever played in. I said, it's one of the most intimidating places I've ever been. And sitting over there on that visiting bench, it was an unbelievable atmosphere. We just, he left saying, wow. And when you got Frank to say, wow, that was pretty impressive. Part of the, when this all happened, and the coaching profession is crazy. We lost a heartbreaker, and my phone blows up, and I should be remiss, Brett Just, a good friend and my agent, my phone blows up. And I didn't field any other or have any interest in anything else. I knew this was where I wanted to be. My wife confirmed that yesterday after being here for 12 hours. And we're driving around, and she looks over and she says, this feels like home. And now, for those of you who have been married 28 years or longer, you know, happy wife, happy life. So I was ecstatic with that statement. But to be here today means a great deal, and to feel like we're at home, to be in one of the greatest facilities ever. And I can promise you, we can't do this without you. This takes everybody. This is not about me. It's not about just them. This is about filling this arena because of the tradition and the culture. Those are the two hardest things there is to find. It takes years and years to develop tradition. And the Ibas and the Suttons, that is as big as it gets. We are privileged. You are privileged. I am privileged to be here because of them. And that means a great deal to me. We've got to have the students. The students got to come out and support. We've got to, the rowdiest arena in America, that has to get back. We have to get back to that. We have to make life. We have to make this miserable for our opponents. We really do, and we'll do that. And I also, for the students' sake, I want some of your best memories. As your student experience here for 4 years, 5 years, some of you 6, however long it takes. I want those to be memories that happen in this building. And you can say, wow, I was here when we beat so-and-so. And to me, that's fun. That's part of the whole college experience, and we're going to do that. I also look forward, and this is something you'll find out who I am. I'm a very big relationship guy. I look forward to traveling this state, traveling into Texas, and meeting all of you. Because ultimately life is about relationships. And the more you get to know our players, the more you get to know our family in the community, you'll find out that we're very, very social. But as I said, it takes everybody to do this the way we want to do this. And we're not coming here. We're coming here to win. I told the players yesterday in a team meeting, losing's not an option. We're going to work. We're going to work, absolutely. I have no greater appreciation for the fans who have to get in their vehicles on a Wednesday night and drive to come support us and to come support the work that these guys have put in. The one thing I can promise you, we're going to play for the name on the front of the uniform. And that's what we're going to show up and work for every single day. You'll hear terms come out of our program that family. I use the word love a lot. It means a great deal to me, my family, and we incorporate our coaches, our staff members. I love getting involved with other sports, and I told Coach Gundy earlier, you'll never have a bigger fan than me. And I look forward to developing those relationships using the term family. That's what makes it enjoyable. That's what makes it fun. And I think that's ultimately how you become successful. The one thing I can promise you, I can't promise wins. If I'd have done that, we'd be playing Wisconsin tomorrow night. But I can promise you this. You're not going to find a group of guys who are going to take that court every single day, work any harder. We're going to guard. We're going to rebound. We're going to make life tough as hell on everybody we play, on every single possession. And Coach uses the term, we put it on our shirts, everyday guys. And that transcends into not just the basketball court, but life. And there are days that it's going to be hard for them. They've had to stay up all night and study for a test. And they've had to work, they've got to show up, and they've got to deal with the weight room and deal with me. You know what? We all have those days every single day. And that's not just about winning basketball games, that's about life. I'm honored. It's my pleasure to step on this court. It's my honor to stand right here next to these gentlemen, all these great former players back here. And I look forward to the opportunity to coach these young men in this great arena on this great court. Thank you very much.
Let me say one thing and then we'll open the questions, all right? Great job. Great job. All right. We want to open it up to media questions. If you media members would wait for the microphone to come around, and both the coach and Coach Holder are available for questions.
This is for Coach Underwood. Robert Allen from GoPokes.com and Triple Play Sports. May not be fair to you, but out of curiosity, either as an assistant coach, maybe even as a player, or a head coach, have you ever been part of a practice where football helmet, shoulder pads was borrowed from football to be used?
I haven't seen that, but it sounds like a great idea. Phil, what do you think? No? It's not against the rules. I've seen it done, actually.
Destined to one day be in this kind of a job, at this kind of a school, or were you hopeful, or were you confident that it would happen for you?
See, I'm a big dreamer, and I use that's a cliche. I've never stopped dreaming. And when I worked for 10 years with Jim at Western, when I was a Some of my greatest memories are as a junior college coach because your involvement is so great with the student athlete there. You never know. You never know. I never take one thing for granted. But I was given an opportunity at Stephen F. Austin. I knew I was prepared because I'd been with great people. And here I stand today. And I never stopped working. I never stopped dreaming. That's who I am. I'm a grinder. And to me, that makes the journey to get here all worth it.
Good. David Garrett from 107.7, the franchise in Oklahoma City. Do you know who your assistant coaches will be, your staff will be? Have you thought that far down the road? And if so, could you share some of that?
We're working on it. We're working on it. That's a process, and all I can say is we're going to have a staff that is second to none, that fits who I am, fits who we are, and is all about everything that we deem important to help win games. You guys need to remember this after a loss, that there's no questions.
Mark Cooper from the Tulsa World. From the time you guys ended that game against Notre Dame to when it was announced you were hired, it was only about 28 hours. What was that 28-hour period like?
Well, there wasn't much sleep, and it's the way that our business works today, and. Without getting into a ton of details, and my agent dealt with 99% of it because I refused. I was so dedicated to that team, those 5 seniors, that when positions came open, Coach Holder can probably talk about his end, but when that happened, there was only I had many other schools call, and many other schools want to. Try to work this process. My mind, boy, this resonated. This was who I was. This was what I was about. And boy, we made it happen. And to Joe and Mike, this was perfect.
Hey, Brad, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. You talked about your experiences here at Gallagher. Can you reflect a little bit more on favorite memories, favorite games, just things that stand out specifically about being in this arena?
Well, I remember going to timeouts and not being able to hear. That was probably a good thing because we were on the wrong end of the score, I'm always impressed when you walk into arena and people ooh and ah and clap and you hear a gasp when there's a play that happens, because that means you've got educated fans and you've got people who understand, and that was here. Then you throw the students, and I go back to when Coach Sutton was here. I mean, nobody could score against them. I mean, it was unbelievable, the defense, and I remember those games. And I don't know if there's any one. I think it's just a combination of every time I was in here, this place was crazy, and it's such a historic building. The acoustics are set up wonderfully, and for the home team. So, but all that stuff are memories that have stuck with me and resonated for many, many years.
Jason Ulp with Stillwater News Press. You mentioned of going out throughout the state and into Texas, meeting people. How are you trying to connect to the fans, though, here on campus, the students, like you keep bringing up? How do you want to bring them in and get them back in the stands? Oh,
I'll do anything for our students, and I've been to every Greek house to speak. I've been to every organization. I believe in that, and that's part of what we do is touch young people, and in the community, I think there's my wife and I were involved with United Way, involved in charities, and then you get out and you do as many speaking things as you can. If I can't go out and have the opportunity to speak to a group, and Altus or Dallas or wherever, and I expect them to travel to come to our games, shame on me for not doing that. And I believe that. And we're all in this together. Like I said, it takes everybody. It's not just a coach and a group of players. It takes everybody to do that. And like I said, I'm a relationship guy. The more people I get to meet, the better.
Yeah, Coach Cliff Brunn, Associated Press. I'm right here. How much Oklahoma State basketball have you had a chance to watch at this point, and what do you see in the current roster that gives you hope of a turnaround sooner rather than later?
Well, and I'll be very honest, you get wrapped up in your own season, and I'm a big film guy, so I didn't see a great deal of their games, and you catch maybe a piece here or there. I saw Phil play a lot in high school. I saw Juwan play a lot in high school. You see these guys play on the AAU circuit because of the way the recruiting is set up. I know we've got really, really good players, and I know we've got guys that are very experienced and have been through the battles. We've got a few guys dinged up, but I'm going in excited as heck about the talent that's here, the opportunity to coach really good players. And that excites me. And then it's we're going to play good people, and we're going to test ourselves. And these guys need to know that every night we step on the floor, we're going to give it our all, and we're going to work and let the process of what we did early. And Muhammad Ali's quote: most nights it's all about what's happened behind the scenes.
Coach Holder, please. Hello. No, I just wanted to ask you, Coach, because it's been 10 years since Oklahoma State consistently contended in the Big 12. And I just wondered what level of pressure did you feel to get this right? Or did you feel like your research was so sufficient and thorough that it really maybe didn't feel like pressure, that you felt once you reached the finish line of the process that you had gotten it right?
Well, I mean, there's no guarantees. The most important thing, the thing that you need to keep at the forefront, is you're hiring a man, and you're hiring hopefully he has a family, and you're hiring a leader. And so you want to find out about the personal qualities. What does he bring to the table? Integrity, honesty, commitment, love, compassion. Will he put his arms around his players? It's not about, they're not a commodity. They're not a commodity to be traded on the open market. They're treasure. And so you need someone that understands that and appreciates it and will invest and give of himself. That's what I think we've got here. I believe in the process. I believe in the daily grind. I believe if you show love and compassion. The kids today are no different than when I came to school here in 1966. They want discipline. They want structure. They want leadership. And I think that we've got someone here that's going to back that up. And we have the same philosophy. It starts down here in that weight room. It happens in the weight room. And then you need to continue the maturation or the transformation from the weight room to the practice, to the court. And then when things don't go right, they've got to be able to come in their office and sit down and talk man to man, because it's not just about basketball problems. These are real life problems. I'd like to think that when done right on a college campus, what happens on the athletic program just augments that education that kids are receiving. It's a class in basketball or a class in golf. And the good news for a coach, it's just not 1 day a week or 3 days a week for 1 hour at a time. It can be multiple hours. And it's not just the 20 hours you get a week to spend on your sport. It could be dinner at home or out in the community or doing something. The best class, one of the best classes taught on this campus should be over here in athletics, because it's about life. And you want these young men to leave here with a future, a brighter future, with a diploma in their hand, ready to take on the responsibility of being a parent, being a father, a husband, a leader in the community, a great employee, an entrepreneur, whatever it is. So it's about changing lives. And I always felt that my dreams for most of my players were bigger than theirs. I loved it when I found a player that had a bigger dream than I had for him. And it's amazing how many times I could see something in a player they couldn't see them themselves. And to see that belief happen and to see them do things that they never thought was possible, like Michael Freeman last year in baseball, unbelievable what happened over there. That's what coaching's all about. So I believe we've got that kind of man here, but I also thought all those recruits I signed were going to do great things too. You just never know until you get to be around him. I've been around him a couple of days now, and I really, really feel comfortable. I feel good. I feel that we've turned our program a real treasure, started with Henry Iba, over to the right kind of man that understands it, that gets it, and he'll be there for him every single day. Everyday guy. Does that answer your question?
Coach Underwood, along the lines of what Coach Holder just said, I had a chance to talk to Rob Myers yesterday, your play-by-play voice at Stephen F. Austin. Today, I had a chance to talk to Frank Martin, who you're very close to. Both of them said that you made it pretty clear at one point or another. Frank said you made it crystal clear that your two dream schools were your alma mater, Kansas State, and Oklahoma State. Understand Kansas State. At what point, maybe it was Bill Self's recruiting, I don't know. At what point did Oklahoma State
You really don't want to know about the visit.
Okay. Well, I know Bill. He taught me how to shoot free throws, and I'm not very good. No, I was just going to ask, at what point did Oklahoma State become that dream?
Again, I'm going to say, and I don't like using the term old school, but winning's very important to me, and challenging. There are challenges that are in place when you don't have culture, and you don't have tradition, and you don't have a fan base who understands what it's about. And when I was a player in the Big 8, and when I was back here in the Big 12, this was one of the greatest places to play, and it gives you a great opportunity to win, and that means a great deal to me. And this fits who I am, who my wife is. I grew up in a town of 13,000 people, and I'm comfortable, and it's friendly, and I love to wave, and I love to go to the coffee shop and say hello, and that's who I am. I don't need a lot of extra stuff, and occasional golf course every now and then to go hit but it fit me, and that's what excites me. And when you throw all of the history and the pageantry and the tradition, this was me.
Coach Holder. At what point did you guys know that he was the target you wanted to go after, and at what point after his game Sunday did you start getting the ball rolling, reaching out to him?
Oh, I knew. I can't say the exact time. I knew quite a bit before we ever had an opening that if it happened, I knew who was at the top of our list. So I had a good plan in place, but Mike Tyson always said everybody's got a plan till you get hit in the mouth. And I promise you, it's competitive out there for hiring coaches, either football or basketball. If you don't sit back and have interviews on campus and entertain people, I mean, you might do that in the corporate world, and you might do that in some of our sports, but that's not going to work in football and basketball. And so I knew exactly who we wanted, who was at the top of our list. I just worried that someone might beat us to the starting line. So I called Robert Hill on Saturday, and that's the day after they had won the first round game, and I said, I just want you to know I'm interested in your coach. And then he wanted to know how interested. And I said, if we can get him on our campus and he's as impressive in person as what I found out through secondhand information, then he's going to be our next basketball coach. And he said, I appreciate that. I ask one thing from you. Do not contact him until we lose in this tournament. And I said, Mr. Hill, you're talking to the right guy, because I respect that relationship. I've been there with dreams and aspirations. Some of those kids and all the fans have thought about this forever. And you're there at the moment of truth. You don't need to be distracted. It's hard enough when you're focused. So I said, you trust me until that last game's played, we're going to leave your coach alone and let him try to win games. But after they lost, all we wanted to do was, how soon can your coach get to Stillwater, Oklahoma? Because we want to meet him, and we don't think this is going to take very long, but you just have to have a face-to-face before you can do anything. So that's what happened. I know it. Everybody says, well, how do you hire a coach in 48 hours or whatever? Well, if you don't, you might not have a coach.
Hey, Brad, you were 49 before you took your first D1 head coaching job. Were you waiting for something specific? Was it just slow in coming? Or kind of talk to me about the decision to go to Stephen F. when you did.
Well, I think there's a lot of factors that play into that. And one, I've been very blessed to be with very, very good coaches who let me as an assistant coach. And I didn't have a bad job. I was with Frank. He let me do a great deal of coaching. You're in the SEC. Life wasn't horrible, and yet I always had the desire and the want to be a head coach, and yet to just have the title to be head coach, that wasn't who I am. To have an opportunity, and Stephen F. was perfect. Stephen F. Austin was the second winningest program in the state of Texas since the year 2000. And it actually dates back 45, 50 years ago to their women's program and the success that they've had on the women's side. And so there was a culture of basketball there, and a successful program. They had won 27 games the year before I got there. So that played a huge part of it. Basketball was very important there. When I interviewed there, it was the president, the AD, and the head of the Board of Regents. I knew it was important, and it was the right fit, and it was exactly what I looked for. I don't worry about age. I feel 29, so, and that's something that the experience made the ending and the journey was fabulous because of the people that I've been with.
John Helsley with the Oklahoman. Most places love great offense. This place has a long-running tradition of appreciating good defense. Sounds like that's right up your alley.
Perfect fit. Perfect. We guard, and we work at it, and yet we average just shy of 80 points a game. I believe in efficient offense. We shot 52% this year in conference play from the field. We've got guys who can make baskets, and they do it in a lot of ways. It's still the old adage I believe in: the closer you are to the basket, the better chance you have to score. You find ways to get layups and easy opportunities. We slipped a little bit this year in this number, but we've always been a great offensive rebounding team with very little size. We were 11th and 12th in the country. It's another opportunity to score at the basket. We've got a bunch of guys who can go offensive rebound and do those things. So offensively, we'll be. I think the other thing offensively, we led the country last year in assist, and we were second this year in assist, and we had 6 different guys lead us in scoring. That becomes really hard to prepare for. But the constant has always been at the defensive end. We make your life tough, and I'm not going to allow you to run what you want to run. We're going to take that away, and you better have good enough players that are tougher and willing to step up and make a play to try to beat us.
I know they have name tags in front of them, but if you would, introduce your family, and is your son going to come play for you?
My much better half, Susan, my wife of 28 years, please stand. My son, Tyler was a freshman at Stephen F. Austin this year and redshirted for us. He had an ACL knee injury, and he informed me yesterday that he was transferring. My oldest daughter, Katie, is a 10th grader. My youngest daughter, Ashley, is an 8th grader.
Let's take just a couple of more questions if we could.
All right, thank you.
Good. Good. Okay. Thank you. Look forward to the opportunity to get to visit with you further. Thank you very much. Love it. Great shirts.